right, guys, today we're going to be talking about 1.4, and you're going to be subtracting positive and negative integers. In our last section, we talked about how to add them, so we're just going to recap real quick. If you don't need my help, if you remember this, you just pause me, you just shut me up right now, and you just write this in yourself. You can look back at your notes from the other day. So our rules for addition, if you don't remember, is when we're adding two numbers that have the same sign, we're going to add the numbers together, and you're going to take the sign that both numbers have. So if they're both positive, your answer is positive. If they're both negative, your answer is negative. And then our second rule was when they have different signs. This is where you think of which team won. So in that case, you're going to subtract the two numbers, and you're going to take the sign of the bigger number, which team wins. Oops. All right. So that's going to come in handy today when we're talking about how to subtract integers. So let's talk a little bit about how this is going to work. Subtraction is not a big deal when you have something like 10 minus 5, right? 10 minus 5, everyone knows, is just 5. I don't need a calculator, I don't need to use my fingers. 10 minus 5 is just 5. It gets a little weird and difficult for some people when you add those negatives. Or when I even switch this around and this time say 5 minus 10, okay? Sometimes people heavily rely on their calculator, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to test yourself and see if you can just try this without your calculator. So subtraction, if you think of it this way, when we have positive and negative numbers, is actually the same thing as adding the opposite. Okay? So when we talk about subtracting integers, when you are able to add integers, like what we did in our last section, it wasn't that big of a deal because you can use those two rules that we just reviewed up here, right? When you have two numbers and you're adding together, you're going to take that same sign. And if you're adding two numbers with different signs, we're just going to subtract them and take the sign of the bigger number. In order to use those rules again, let's just make all of these addition problems. Okay? In order to do that, we're going to use a process called Presto. Can't even spell. Presto Changeo. What? Presto Changeo. Okay, Presto Changeo is a two-step process to change subtraction into addition. The reason we're doing that is because we want to use the two rules that we've just become so good at. Okay? So I'm going to call this your lifesaver. For the entire school year, whenever you have a subtraction or negative numbers, I'm going to ask you to pull out your lifesaver. And Presto Changeo is going to be your lifesaver. So let me show you how Presto Changeo works. So if you have a 1 minus 8, this would be an example of a problem that people would freak out at, and they would pull their calculator out and just type that in. But if you use Presto Changeo, it's not going to be that bad. So Presto Changeo is when you take your subtraction sign and you change it to add the opposite. Okay? So now what this says, I'm going to rewrite it. 1 plus a negative 8. Now this is what we did yesterday, or the other day. Okay? 1 plus a negative 8. They're different signs, so I'm going to subtract them and get 7. And I'm going to take the sign of the bigger number. Which team wins? The negative team wins. So my answer is a negative 7. Okay? I'm going to have you guys try example 2. Let's do example 3 together. So I have a negative 4 minus 12. I'm going to take that subtraction sign and I'm going to add the opposite. So if you want, you can rewrite. So I have a negative 4 plus a negative 12. So look at this now. Now they're the same sign. I have a negative 4 plus a negative 12. I can just add them up and I would get negative 16. Okay? Alright, now these down here are a little crazier because look, we have two negatives right next to each other. What this says is 3 minus a negative 5. So presto changeo, your lifesaver, is going to be very helpful whenever you see this. So I'm going to add the opposite. So really, what this says is 3 plus 5, which is a no-brainer, is just 8. Okay? I'm going to try one more with you. So I have a negative 7 minus a negative 10. I'm going to presto changeo. So this becomes negative 7 plus 10. So I've got opposite signs. I'm going to subtract them. 10 minus 7 is 3. And my bigger number was positive, so it's going to be a positive 3. Okay? Try example 3, and then we'll just do a ton of practice next time we see each other.